Eliza Fletcher was a woman full of life, a mother, a wife, a teacher, and a beloved member of the Memphis community. Born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee, Eliza's life was marked by her passion for education and her devotion to family. Eliza was known for her morning runs around the neighborhood. It was her time to clear her mind before a busy day teaching elementary school kids. But on a day that began like any other, that sense of safety and love would be shattered forever. The morning air was crisp as Eliza Fletcher set out on her usual run, unaware that this routine would become a haunting memory. The streets of Memphis held their familiar quiet, save for the distant hum of early traffic and the chirping of birds. She was meticulous in her preparation, choosing a familiar route through quiet neighborhoods and wooded trails, places where she had often found solace and clarity. Those who saw her that morning described a woman confident and focused, running with the steady rhythm of someone who found freedom in every step. What seemed like an ordinary morning soon turned ominous. Minutes stretched uneasily as she disappeared from view, her silhouette swallowed by the shadows of towering trees lining the path. Friends and family, expecting her prompt return, began to grow anxious as time passed without a sign. Calls went unanswered, and her familiar presence was conspicuously absent. The peaceful neighborhood's calm slowly gave way to a mounting unease. When Eliza failed to return, the first whispers of concern rippled through the community. Her husband, James, alerted the police, setting into motion a frantic search that would grip the city. Officers combed through the familiar trails, calling out her name against the quiet dawn. The search intensified as daylight poured into the streets, revealing the vulnerability hidden beneath the surface of this quiet neighborhood. The media quickly caught wind of the disappearance, broadcasting pleas for information and encouraging witnesses to come forward. Social media exploded with hope and fear, communities rallying behind the family, desperate for answers. Every minute that passed was a knife twisting deeper into the hearts of those who loved her. The question on everyone's lips: what had happened to Eliza Fletcher on that morning run? The first grim discovery came just hours later, a piece of evidence that shattered the fragile hope of a safe return. The police found traces that no runner would leave behind voluntarily. The signs pointed to a struggle, a violent interruption of what should have been an ordinary day. Neighbors recalled unusual noises, a fleeting glimpse of a suspicious figure, but the details were hazy, clouded by fear and disbelief. The community was left grappling with the horrifying reality that one of their own was missing and possibly in grave danger. The disappearance of Eliza Fletcher was not just a local. It quickly became a story that resonated beyond Memphis. A woman, a mother, a teacher, taken from her life without warning. As night fell over the city, the search continued with growing urgency. Loved ones held on to hope, but the darkness was filled with uncertainty. What had started as a morning run had turned into a nightmare none could have anticipated. This chapter of Eliza's story marks the beginning of a devastating investigation, one that would reveal the harsh truths lurking beneath the surface of a community that believed itself safe. As the sun climbed higher, what began as a search turned into a grim investigation. The police arrived with a sense of urgency and determination, knowing that every moment was critical. Detectives Sanchez and Hawkins took lead roles, piecing together the last known movements of Eliza Fletcher. They coordinated with officers, forensic teams, and local volunteers to cover every inch of the neighborhood. At Eliza's home, family and friends waited anxiously for updates. Their grief was palpable, yet hope lingered, a hope that she might still be found. Witnesses came forward with pieces of the puzzle. Mia, a neighbor, reported hearing unfamiliar noises during the early morning, something that didn't fit with the usual quiet. Forensics played a key role, uncovering clues that hinted at a struggle. A water bottle found near the trail bore signs of tampering. Footprints suggested someone had been following Eliza. The story gripped the city. News outlets ran continuous coverage, turning the investigation into a public spectacle, intensifying pressure on law enforcement. Suspicions grew as a man matching witness descriptions was brought in for questioning. His background and behavior raised red flags, marking the first major breakthrough in the case. Amid the turmoil, the community united in grief and hope, demanding answers and justice for Eliza Fletcher. The investigation was far from over. Every lead was followed, every detail scrutinized, in a race against time to uncover the truth. As the investigation deepened, the focus turned to a man named Cleotha Abston, a local resident whose troubled past began to surface alongside the details of the case. Authorities learned that Abston had a history marked by previous offenses and behavioral concerns, many of which had not led to serious consequences. His presence in the community suddenly took on a new, ominous meaning. Small but significant clues, complaints from neighbors, reports of erratic behavior, and movements traced near the scene, painted a disturbing picture. Cleotha Abston was soon identified as a prime suspect in Eliza Fletcher's disappearance. Surveillance footage, witness statements, and forensic evidence increasingly connected him to the location and time of the crime. Investigators pieced together his activities with painstaking detail, Interviews with acquaintances revealed a man growing more isolated and volatile in the days before the Friends described his mood swings and sudden outbursts as warning signs that had gone unheeded. Law enforcement heightened security in the neighborhood and appealed for any information that could aid the investigation. The revelation that Abston was involved sent shockwaves through Memphis. Families and friends grappled with disbelief and fear. How could someone known locally commit such a brutal act? The community demanded answers. With Cleotha Abston in custody, the investigation turned from search to preparation for prosecution. The pursuit of justice for Eliza Fletcher was now underway in full force. Once Cleotha Abston was arrested, the forensic work intensified. Specialists analyzed evidence with greater urgency. DNA samples, fibers, and other material linked him unmistakably to the crime. The suspect's statements under questioning showed inconsistencies, revealing cracks in his account. Detectives pressed for the truth, determined to understand the full extent of his involvement. Eliza's family faced the overwhelming reality of loss, supported by the community's outpouring of sympathy and solidarity. Their pain was profound but steeled by the hope that justice would be served. As the media covered the unfolding case, speculation and debate grew. Some hoped for redemption, others demanded harsh consequences. The trial ahead promised to be a critical moment for truth. Investigators meticulously followed every lead, no matter how small. Each new detail helped build the picture of what had happened on that fateful morning. With the trial approaching, law enforcement and legal teams prepared carefully to present the case against Cleotha Abston. The weight of responsibility was immense. Amid the questions and grief, the facts began to take shape, bringing the community closer to closure, even as wounds remained fresh. Cleotha Abston was formally charged, and the case moved quickly into the courtroom. Pretrial hearings were marked by legal strategy and the battle for admissible evidence. The media spotlight intensified, making the trial a focal point for the city and the nation. The courtroom was charged with emotion. Family members, lawyers, and the public watched closely. Prosecutors aimed to demonstrate the overwhelming evidence, while defense attorneys challenged the investigation's findings at every turn. Advocates and community leaders spoke out, urging that justice be served and that lessons be learned to prevent future. Behind the scenes, investigators and lawyers worked tirelessly to prepare for the complex legal battle ahead. The courtroom drama was about to begin. For many, the trial was more than just a legal process. It was a chance to honor Eliza Fletcher's memory and ensure accountability. The trial of Cleotha Abston began amid intense scrutiny. Opening statements framed the case's stakes: justice for Eliza and the defense's plea for reasonable doubt. Witnesses provided testimony that revealed the human side of the trial. Family members, forensic experts, and eyewitnesses. Their words carried the weight of truth and pain. Forensic evidence was presented carefully. DNA, surveillance footage, and physical clues woven together to tell a chilling story. Defense attorneys worked to undermine the prosecution's narrative, probing for contradictions and alternative explanations. The courtroom became a battleground of words and evidence. Outside the courtroom, the community held its breath. The jury faced the heavy responsibility of weighing every detail in testimony. This was the pivotal moment, where facts, feelings, and justice converged. After weeks of intense courtroom testimony, forensic evidence, and emotional witness statements, the case of the state versus Cleotha Abston reached its decisive moment. The jury, composed of 12 men and women from the Memphis area, deliberated for several hours, reviewing the overwhelming evidence presented during the trial. Every detail they had heard pointed to one unshakable truth: Cleotha Abston was guilty. When they returned, the courtroom fell silent. Eliza's family held hands tightly. The judge looked down at the verdict form, then read aloud the words that would bring both justice and sorrow. Guilty. Cleotha Abston was convicted of first-degree, especially aggravated kidnapping, and related charges in connection with the abduction and death of Eliza Fletcher. During sentencing, the judge spared no words in condemning the crime. Abston's past, a long record of violent behavior, including a prior kidnapping conviction, was taken into account. The court sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Not eligible for parole, not eligible for bail. No appeals for early release. This sentence ensures that Cleotha Abston will spend the rest of his life behind bars. The doors that closed behind him that day at the state penitentiary will never open again. Not for him. For Eliza's family, it was a moment of justice, but not peace. No number of years could replace her presence at birthdays, school plays, or dinner tables. The sentence confirmed what they already knew. A light had been taken from their lives forever. Outside the courthouse, the community gathered in quiet support. The verdict was a statement, not just of guilt, but of accountability. For Memphis, it marked the end of a case that had gripped the city with fear, then united it in grief. The judge's ruling meant that Eliza's would never walk free again. No bail, no parole, no second chance. But the story doesn't end there. Because even in the face of unimaginable loss, Eliza's family chose to look forward, to build something better in her name. Eliza Fletcher's story inspired change, community safety initiatives, victim support programs, and increased awareness. Her family became advocates, dedicating themselves to preventing similar and supporting others affected by violent crime. Memorials and vigils honored Eliza's life, reminding all of the cost of violence and the value of compassion. The case prompted important discussions about justice, safety, and how communities can protect their most vulnerable. Eliza Fletcher's legacy is one of hope, courage, and commitment to making the world a safer place. The murder of Eliza Fletcher is a heartbreaking reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring power of justice. Through families and communities find strength to heal, advocate, and rebuild. Cleotha Abston's conviction was a necessary step toward accountability, but the true work lies in preventing such violence in the future. Eliza's memory lives on as a beacon, a call to vigilance, empathy, and action. Her story challenges us all to protect each other and to honor those lost by creating safer, stronger communities. And that's it for the day. If you want to dive deeper into true crime, check out our videos on the Maxwell Anderson verdict and the Sade Robinson. This video is already available on our channel. These stories are full of shocking twists and important moments you won't want to miss. Be sure to watch those videos next. And if you enjoyed this content, please like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell icon so you get notified every time we release a new story. Thank you for watching and supporting our channel.